This is Dr. Caroline Peterson at Natural Women's Health Institute in Sarasota, Florida. Today we're talking about cerebral microvascular disease. It's also known as cerebral small vessel disease. It is a pathological process in the brain, in the smallest arteries and veins that involve the endothelium, a loss of function capacity in the endothelium, which is the lining of the small vessels. And the large vessels too, but we're talking about the small vessels when we're talking about microvascular disease. The cerebral microvascular disease is the most common cerebral vascular disease. It accounts for 85% of intracerebral hemorrhages, 45% of vascular dementia, and is also a key contributor to Alzheimer's. It causes 25% of ischemic strokes. When the endothelium is impaired, you're going to have reduced angiogenic capacity. That means that it's hard to make new blood vessels. You're going to have aberrant expression of adhesion molecules. That means that you're going to have sticky vessels that will create slower blood flow. And you're going to have impaired vasodilatory function, which means that they're not going to be able to get as big as they should be able to, and so they can't carry blood through the way that they should be able to. Blood flow will be slower and stickier. So unlike demyelinating central nervous system diseases, which have often symptoms first and imaging findings later, that's not what we see with cerebral small vessel disease. Cerebral small vessel disease, the patient will not have imagined they have anything going on with their brain. They may have certain symptoms, but they would not have imagined that they are related to brain function. And so it's not uncommon that cerebral small vessel disease is found incidentally on an MRI, possibly looking for something else. And so this can be very surprising for the patient, and the doctor might be kind of nonchalant because, as we'll discuss in more depth later, changes in these cerebral small vessels is very common with aging. And so the doctor might say, oh, well, you're fine. I'm not worried about that. You're just having the normal amount of flare, which is what they call it on the MRI, which is really microvascular degeneration, which then imperils the actual brain tissue. So for us in natural medicine, we do take it seriously at any stage. And for us, we want to enter in as early as possible. We want to prevent if possible. Otherwise, we want to enter as early as possible to either slow progression, stop progression, or reverse progression. That's always our goal. So this is a picture of your brain, a cross-section in your brain, and it's looking here. We're taking that cut of the vasculature and then bringing it over here, and we're seeing this is the endothelial cells inside of the artery. They're surrounded by smooth muscle. There's nerves there. And then we have also the space around the little tiny artery, the arterial, which is called perivascular space. And so here's another picture of the perivascular space that goes around it. And the capillary is where the arterial and the venule come together. So it's that place where oxygen is exchanged. Um, and pericytes here are part of the structures that give support and stabilization, as well as the basement membrane. And inside is the endothelial cells. We have some glial cells like the astrocytes, which play a really important role in these arterioles and venules and capillaries, as we'll find out. And other glial cells like microglia and the oligodendrites, and then ultimately the neuron itself are playing important roles in this stabilization and process. So to be able to have a healthy brain, we need to have a strong blood-brain barrier system. We need to be able to methylate properly. We need to be able to produce and transmit neurotransmitters. We need low inflammation and preferably no infections. We need proper vascular flow. And if we have those things, then we will have the ability to produce energy and to use energy. So cerebral small vessel disease is present in about 5% of people in their 50s and increases over time. So that's why people, doctors and others, will have a tendency to say, oh, you have the normal amount, or this is what I would expect. And so what I really kind of hammer on a little bit is that there's a difference between something that is common and something that is normal. So for us in natural medicine, it's not normal for the small vessels to become sticky and tight and not be able to carry blood and leak. To us, we would say it's common, but that's because the epigenetics or the lifestyle factors are not being optimized so that we can optimize brain health. And so our goal in natural medicine is to optimize epigenetics, to optimize lifestyle factors so that we can have the healthiest brain possible. So aging is one of the factors that does increase risk of cerebral microvascular disease. It tends to increase oxidative stress, which then produces reactive oxygen species. And then we need to have the antioxidant defense systems intact. Otherwise, we'll get cellular dysfunction and cell death. I want to make a note that I'm not talking about codicil today, which is an inherited autosomal dominant type of cerebral small vessel disease. And so we're going to be talking more about conditions that lend themselves to being helped with epigenetics.